All right, and welcome to another Friday Expert live stream. Hello, Launchpadders. My name is Dan Johnson, and I am the Chief Consultant at Next Level Nonprofits, as well as the host of the Friday Expert live stream. Every Friday, we bring in experts from around the country, and in this case, around the world, to help you learn how to launch and successfully grow your new nonprofit. So, super excited today to welcome an incredible special guest. First of all, a couple of instructions for you who are listening in and watching. Um, Number one is if you want to leave a comment or a question, if you have a question for our guest, go ahead and pop your question into the Facebook comments. If you're watching on the event, you'll probably have to full screen this video in order to reach those comments. So go ahead and make sure you're able to do that. Number two, so that more people see this as we're live, go ahead and like, share, love what we're talking about here. You can use all those reactions on the video. And of course, throughout this show, at any time, you can go ahead and ask a question of our guest. And it appears our live view counter is broken on StreamYard. I see it really messing up there. So I have no idea how many people are watching unless you pop in a comment and say hi. Also, this is our first time bringing on an international expert. So there may be some internet issues that come up. If they are, just go ahead and refresh the stream and we should be able to fix it. Also, only for those who are listening in live, there'll be a special giveaway for social media that Shyla will be giving away only if you are listening live midway through the show. So make sure that you are able to do that. All right. With all of that said, I would love to welcome to the Friday Expert live stream Shyla of 414 Studio. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. Thanks, Daniel. Hello to your wonderful community. I'm Shyla.
Wonderful. It's super glad to have you. So I always put all of our experts under the spotlight with my first question, which is how did you get involved in this crazy world of nonprofits, particularly when you could go do social media for like Coca-Cola for $1 billion a year. So how did you get involved in this crazy world of nonprofits?
Mm-hmm. Actually, I've started when I was young. Like I was involved into volunteer activities ever since. And I remember when I was 13 years old. So I got into a volunteer program for a religious organization to have feeding programs with children in the slums in nearby in our area. Or in I actually live in a subdivision, and there was like a nearby area here wherein the children and their families live in slums, or they're informal settlers.
And here is
Then
Philippines, right?
yeah, in the Philippines. And I actually volunteered when I was young to that um, program to help them out, teach them like biblical principles and how to treat other people well, and yeah, do feeding programs with them. And I'm actually sharing this because I think that cultivated those seeds when we were young, cultivated to my heart for nonprofits now. So fast forward when I was in college, I had an internship in People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. So that's my real experience in the nonprofit world. And that made me realize that it's actually gonna be a dream of mine that after I graduate college, I want to go in nonprofits. Like I liked it. I want it. And I love it. And fast forward again, after college, guess what? I didn't got I didn't got my first job into the nonprofits no matter how hard I try. I actually landed a job in a law firm to assist lawyers, but then on the weekends, and I remember um, using my vacation leaves just to attend and volunteer and do nonprofit activities. And fast forward again, luckily in 2020, I got a job in the United Nations Migration Agency. So that gave me a first-hand experience now more on how nonprofits work, um, especially in the legal side because I'm on the legal department at that time. And um, on the side, I was actually just building out for 14 Studio while having that job in the UN. And after that UN job, I carved out my path into um, creating this humble digital agency to help out more nonprofits to be seen by to be seen and attract donors and supporters and create impact in the digital world through branding and social media strategies with no paid ads. So I guess you
With
guys will
no
be
paid
excited.
ads, just
Yeah,
straight up social media strategy. Okay. All right, we're
organic.
gonna get into that.
So I guess you guys will be excited on what we're gonna talk later on. So yeah, I really
So
love nonprofits.
So why social media? You started with direct service, helping out the families in the slums and teaching them core values and things like that. And you moved into the legal side of a migration department at the UN. Seems like an interesting path to get to social media. So why social media?
Yeah. Being in my generation as a millennial, we're really tech savvy, that's for sure. And we are just using social media in our personal way. But then I got this like observation that um, if we are taking time to use social media, and also there are other big corporations who gets the value of being in the social media, and I see few nonprofits or few only few nonprofits actually can optimize or have optimized profiles online. I think I can fill in the gap because I'm also a creative, and um, I'm tech savvy, and it's like I've been in the social media realm for a long time, so I've been observing it. So yeah, that's from there.
And welcome, Megan. I see you're hi, and I see Latoya here. Good to see you guys. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. So what are how do we think about social media as nonprofits? Because when we're a nonprofit, we're told you need to do social media, and we often have our own social media accounts and things like that. And I know in a lot of nonprofits who do social media pretty much exclusively. Like everything is through social media. Donors are through social media. Volunteers through social media. They try everything through social media, and then it doesn't work like they want it to, and they're like, "Well, social media is useless." So, how do we think about including social media in our strategy? What role does social media is social media best for as a nonprofit?
Hmm. Yeah. Um, Before I share on the strategies that we're gonna be talking about later, I want us to grasp first, yes, the importance and the value of um, using the internet or optimizing it, or social medias. So I want to quote Bill Gates when he said that if your business is not on the internet, you will be out of business. So firsthand, I've already saw and observed how 20 years long businesses can um, can not adapt to technology, and sadly, unfortunately, they will be go bankrupt. So it's one factor that if you can't adapt to the technology, um, that might happen. And whether we like it or not, we're actually heading towards a digital world. And we're actually in a very fortunate era wherein we can use social media as free. So, for example, way back, there's a transition from radio to TV, and then now TV to our smartphones. So, um, I want us to realize that we need to take advantage of it because it's a very long tail, and we can get a piece of it, and social media is a free digital tool, and we just need to learn more about it and invest our time. efforts and to knowing more about it. And if there are big corporations who sees the value of social media and they're taking advantage of it, so what's stopping us to try it as well?
So, what kind of social media do you encourage nonprofits to engage in? Because social media is huge. If you say
Yeah.
social media, it's like saying you should do newspapers or you should do podcasts. Great. So there's only 14 million of them. Social media platforms range from Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, uh, international social media platforms. Like there's all these kinds of platforms. So, but new nonprofits have only limited resources in order to tackle social media. So, do you advise that they pick a couple platforms? And if so, like, how do you actually start setting up your social media strategy as a nonprofit in order to do it right? Let's start there. How do you set up your social media strategy so that you as a nonprofit can do this right?
hmm Actually, I want to share like a five acronym that I've prepared for this. So it's BSEEN. So be seen. So B stands for branding. I think this will answer the question because of if nonprofits have a clear branding of what their impact statement are, of what their heart, the heart of their nonprofits is about, who are their dream audience, o- how old are they working professionals, or are they um, more on the younger generation side, or where do they hang out? So we can actually start from there. For example, if um, more on the you want to gain volunteers, let's say from millennials or Gen Zs, where do they hang out? Do they hang out on TikTok? Do they hang out on Facebook more or Instagram more? So we have to know the demographic of our dream audience. And that's where branding comes in. And branding is important because it's the foundation of all your marketing. And um, also, what is the personality of your nonprofit? Will it be professional? Will it be a little bit jolly? And this needs to show on how you present yourself. And once we answer branding questions and dig deep on how to get our proper branding, that's when we can create proper visuals, logos, use color psychology. For example, you are an environmental organization, but you're using more on the red tones, more of like strong tones. And in color psychology, it doesn't resonate well because when you are an environmental organization, you have to use like nature colors. So it's not just a simple logo or a simple color. There's a psychology behind it. And yeah, I think you start with branding, how you present
If
yourself.
I can cut in here, so what all goes into a brand? I know that lots of nonprofits think, okay, if I'm doing a brand first, I need a logo, and that's what they think goes into a brand. But what all goes into a brand that you're like, you mentioned a personality, so it's a logo and a personality at the very least. What all goes into a brand for a nonprofit?
Basically, in branding, it's how you present yourself. Like you compare it into a human being. Like for example, next level nonprofit community. If you turn them into a human being, how would they look like? So, what are the values that they believe in? And yeah, what are their personality? And this must show visually and consistently so that there will be clear messaging and how you will post and later on. So in branding, it's actually a great investment because you can use it for a very long time, like 5 years. And if your nonprofit change into a different path, you can change it by then. So it's the foundation of everything.
So if I'm creating a brand, am I imagining my audience as a human being or am I imagining my organization? So like if I have a food rescue organization, am I imagining that organization as the human being and like, okay, this organization is Heather and she's kind and caring and all of that stuff. Is that what I'm doing, or am I imagining my audience that way?
Um, in terms of interacting with your audience, in your messaging, you can also consider how you will like talk to them, so how you will interact with them. So that can translate into, for example, someone commented on your Facebook post. How would you approach them? Would you be perceived as jolly? So it's more of like visual identity or how you will be perceived.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. So E, be seen. So we covered B. Let's go on to E.
S actually. S is
Uh,
the strategy.
okay, so it's be seen, but no E. B, the
Yeah,
letter
be
B,
seen.
SEEN. Okay, got it. All right.
So it's this five. Okay, as a strategy, so as what I've mentioned earlier, in what platform that you will use, there's actually different ways how to use it. Like for example, in um, Facebook, you can have a community here, but on Instagram, you can only have broadcast channels and threads. So that we need to also consider studying it, because there are different um, uses on it. So uses and how you post. So for example, in Facebook, in just simple sizing of the photos, there's also a different size when you post it on Instagram. So I don't want to go into more of details of it because um, it will take more of our time here. But we in creating a strategy, you need to consider where does your dream audience hang out. And next would be your content pillars. So this would help nonprofits in creating a strategy on what to post. So you will just, let's say, focus on five content pillars. Um, it must be inspirational, engaging, educational, and can be promotional, or can be something that, for example, you want to engage them through a freebie or something like that. And these content pillars are actually important in your social media strategies because you won't be like um, overwhelmed in what to post for today, and you will have a guidance on uh, how you will create your social media calendar or content calendar. So, for example, with Mondays, you only post inspirational. Tuesdays, you post something educational. Wednesdays, something engaging, and so on. And also, in content pillars, you will break down what topics are you going to talk about in your uh, nonprofit community or in your audience. So, for example, environmental organizations, um, five content pillars, something about sustainability, something um, about the nature, and engaging about tips that they've already applying in their day-to-day lives, and then like so on. So you need to create content pillars so that you won't be overwhelmed on what to post daily. You're just gonna focus on five or something that some topics that I've mentioned earlier.
So
And
how do I, as a new nonprofit leader, actually choose my content pillars? Because you've mentioned a couple different types of content pillars at this point. So how do I choose the pillars of my social media content?
mhm, for it's actually going to be researched and also related on your branding. But if you're really new, you can also take advantage of the AI. So the artificial intelligence applications. So for example, you can search up, give me 5 content pillars that are related to blank mission, or let's say um, nonprofits that believes in blank. So AI can give you content pillars that you can consider. So that's something that easy way that you can have content pillars if you're starting out. Yes. And next would be also to consider is the time of posting. So it's very crucial. In one of my clients right now, they are in Africa, and the common they call this common active time of the people there are 11 a.m. And some countries it's different. So you need to do a little research about when is the right time to post, and that's crucial as well. But then if you already starting out, or if you've started out already and you have already been using Meta, there is a portion there wherein you can see the insights, and then it's more of like analytical, but you can see the statistics of when the viewers are active and seeing more of your posts. So you can do a little research about that on the insights part. And next would be something related to design. And I think last week you have a guest tackling about designs. So
Hmm?
that's also related to having social media strategy. And in having designs, of course, you will consider um, the proper colors to use in your posts. It must be aligned with the branding so that people who will view it will not get confused. Like, for example, oh, last week they used this color, but then this week it's more of like it's like a different organization already because of a different visual perception or different visuals. So you have to be consistent with your fonts, your the colors that you use, and also consider investing in original photos for documentation of your activities or programs that you've already done before. So these are called assets. And through these, we can create a design and then use this in posting and engaging. And there's also much strategy in considering and how to design. And I think last time you've discussed it. And also in copywriting. So copyright is more of like the caption that you post. So there is more of a hierarchy or structure in how you post or caption. So first is must be eye catching. So let's say it's a quote or an engaging question. And then on the body of your caption, you would give more information about it. And then on the last part, there's called CTA or call to action. And you can, let's say, ask the people who view it that we're actually having this event. You can join it, message us, something like call to action. And then you would also include in your copyright the hashtags. So in organic reach or no ads, it helps the hashtags that you use. So you will research some hashtags if, for example, the nonprofit life hashtag has like 12,000 reach in Facebook. So those things you will need to consider because if you use a hashtag and then nobody uses it, of course, in the algorithm, it won't appear to the people you want to connect with. And yeah, there's actually more of into it, but I won't go into details because they're gonna take long. But that's for S. And next would be E. So experience. So how your nonprofits or your how your viewers experience your nonprofits. Like if they want to donate, are your um are your links user friendly, or it will take time for them to access it, and then it as a user, would it be frictionless to me? So we need to also consider if it's user friendly and not confusing. Like you told me to go to this link, but then it will head to another link and to another link again. So we also need to consider those things. And experience also is how you connect. So through your post, are you um, connecting with your audience, or are you just asking for donations plainly? So in marketing, there's actually a rule that's 80% you need to give value, and then 20% you call to action. So you can ask for donations. So for example, in a week, or let's say you have 10 posts in a week, 8 of them you give value, you don't ask. And then on the 2, you can ask to donate. So it's more of like give value first before you ask. And there are a lot more
And
tips.
what are some creative ways that nonprofits can give value? So, you could like if you were a for-profit company and you were doing marketing, you would like offer a freebie. If you download my 5 ways to increase your income to $1 million in 60 days or whatever. And but a lot of nonprofits don't engage in that. Nonprofits might do pictures of their events or something like that. What are some of the ways that nonprofits can add value in social media so they're not just asking for money all the time?
Hmm. Yeah. I actually remember a quote from Seth Godin, and I want to share it. So, people do not buy goods and services, they buy relationship, stories, and magic. And I think nonprofits have that edge into having connections with people through storytelling. So we need to take advantage of how we inspire people, how we educate them about who we are. So basically, just showing who we are as a nonprofit to our audience, and then that will attract who are the right people for us. So you can inspire them, like the content pillar that I've said earlier, inspire them, educate them, engage them. So those are values.
Inspire, educate, engage. I like that. So theoretically, a nonprofit, if they didn't want to be super specific, inspire, educate, engage, ask, essentially could be their weekly posting strategy. That
Yes.
those 4 things, you actually have an ask in there, so you're actually having some level of conversion. But inspire, educate, engage, and ask. So inspiring is pretty clear. Something exciting about your nonprofit, or exciting quote or something like that, I assume. Educate, also fairly clear. What is a good example of an engaging social media post?
In engaging social media posts, you can ask questions. For example, one of the things that we're gonna do in our content, it's about actually education for kids in Africa. So we want to engage the people by asking them, "What is your dream when you were a child?" And then after that, they can comment and engage, like, "Oh, I dream of becoming this one when I was young." Like creating conversations with them is actually engaging with them as well. And that's when, for example, they swipe another post, and then we will present that this kid is actually dreaming of becoming a lawyer too. And he just can't go to school because he's living in the slums. So um, there are children who doesn't have the same opportunity as yours, and those kind of things, using questions to engage them and to connect with them emotionally.
That makes sense. Okay, so we are at the middle of the broadcast, which means a quick note from me and then a giveaway from Shyla for everyone who is currently watching. So once again, so this is December. This is 12/1/2023. If you are thinking about starting a nonprofit next year and you want to get filed and ready and get your C3 status so that you can start raising money in the new year, you need to start now. If you go to nextlevelnonprofits.us, you can set up a 30-minute call with me and we can chat a little bit about what you want for your nonprofit so that you can create a vision driven, impactful, sustainable nonprofit going into the new year. And of course, Shyla, why don't you tell us a little bit about the giveaway that you have for people who are listening live?
Mhm. Yes. Hello, wonderful community of Next Level Nonprofits. So the freebie that I will be sharing with you guys is a Be Seen social media guide. So we maybe I don't want to spoil something so that you won't be excited about it. But apart from the things that you will read there, there's actually a bonus part right on the last part, wherein I've included also a list of digital tools that can help nonprofits. So, for example, I just want to drop in Canva for nonprofits. So, if you're finding out a design tool for your nonprofit in a premium version for free, you can use Canva for nonprofit. I'm actually not part of Canva. I just want that feature for them, that they also offer free for nonprofits. So yeah, I will give a Be Seen social media guide and with the bonus of digital tools on the last part of it.
All right, fantastic. And I am dropping that Be Seen social media guide directly into the comments of today's live stream. So you can check that out. If you're watching today's live stream, feel free to pop in any questions that you have, and I will bring them up on air for Shyla. But I believe we are talking about how to be seen on social media and how to get volunteers and donors out of that. So we've talked about branding strategy experience. And Shyla, go ahead and take us into the second E of scene.
Yeah, so we have two more left. So another E is engage engagement. So how do you engage with the audience that you have? Are you treating them as a community, or are you treating them as um, just mainly followers? And um, maybe, for example, they've commented on your post, and then you're not acknowledging them, or you're not like um, thanking them that they took time to comment on your post. So these things are essential in building a community, especially in social media, that there's too much information. Um, and this is one way on how we can retain them, by engaging with them through comments. And I want to point out as well, because I think there's um, a misconception regarding, if you have a lot of followers, it means that you're doing good in social media. So perhaps for some that works for them, but um, even if you have a lot of followers, if none of them are engaging you, or if none of them are active, I think it's not um, you're not doing the strategy right. So if you are a nonprofit and you still have low followers, fret not, because what matters is the quality of people that you attract in, and not dummy accounts, because that also affects the algorithm, and we'll talk about it some other time. But what matters is the quality of people that you attract. and not how many followers or that um, that you have. For example, I've talked with somebody yesterday. They have 11,000 followers, but then no one is actually engaging with them in their posts. So we have to um, take note of the quality of people that we attract.
So
And
is social media engagement a is it a by platform thing right now? Because I know, for example, when I post on TikTok, I get all kinds of new people seeing what I put up and engaging with it, sometimes leaving comments, asking questions, things like that. When I post the same thing on Facebook, I might not get quite as much. So, are there platforms that nonprofits are just not successfully engaging people on now? Or if I'm getting low engagement, is it mostly on me?
it's actually more of, um, I think, to answer your question greatly, there must be a social media audit first, because we would determine what are you doing right and what are you doing wrong, on why there is some sort of engagement in other platforms and on others it doesn't work. So there must be a social media audit first, because there's more of like
So,
analysis on it.
yeah, not without digging into an entire audit, what are some of the maybe top 3 mistakes that you see nonprofits making that lead to little to no engagement?
Hmm. One thing is the branding. They are not really clear with their messaging, and I do understand that someone can't invest yet on the proper branding, but it's one thing that affects uh, how you will be retained on on the minds of your viewers if you have a clear messaging, if you have a consistent branding. So that's one thing. Second, I think there is no um, proper copywriting as well, and some do not take advantage of the use of hashtags. They just posted something, or the sometimes the caption is not related with the photos. So it's like a total package. It must be like
Mhm.
a total package. And last would be they are focused more on the numbers of followers. But sometimes the number of followers, uh, there are some people who buy followers just to have, just for the sake of having a lot of followers.
Mhm.
And sometimes it actually hurt the algorithm, because if your account has a lot of dummy accounts, the algorithm will not show it more on the feeds of people, because the people who are following you are not legit human beings. So the algorithm will also consider that.
So don't buy fake people, basically.
Yeah. Attract your community, attract the people that has the same values as you. That's your magic as a nonprofit.
Mm. So let's talk about N. And
Yeah,
then I
yeah,
want to really get into how to convert them from once we've got them on social media, how do you actually convert them into volunteers and donors? But let's go ahead and finish N.
yeah. Last would be N. So it's nurture. It's creating relationships. Um, there is this term in nonprofits called donor relation management, or DRM. For nonprofits who are new, there's such a term called that. You can Google it later on what it's all about. But you can use social media as part of your donation funnel, on how you can, there's another word again, funnel. So donation funnel is basically how you can gain donors or attract donors, or possible donors and supporters. So for example, there's a triangle. Just picture out a triangle. So on the first pie, you at first part you would uh, focus on awareness. That's where social media comes in. How you will reach people from different parts of the countries that wants to donate to you, or as how you attract your people, awareness. And then next would be um, the platform that you will be using, how to get them involved. For example, you have um, a GoFundMe, let's say a GoFundMe account. They will donate to that, and since they have already been part of your community, the last part would be uh, nurturing them. Because in nonprofits, we don't want to connect people just to get funds for them. We want them to donate more. We want to connect with them and not just donate once. So nurturing them and building a relationship them through using social media is also something we need to consider.
So, how do we then take those likes and those reactions and those comments that we get and actually turn them into something more practical, like a donation or a volunteer? What are the things that make social media? Is virality basically connected to effectiveness? So the goal of social media is to get it to go as viral as possible and as many people like it, and therefore you'll get volunteers and donors out of it. Or is there a different approach to social media that enables you to get more real involvement from that social media instead of just like posting memes? Not that memes are bad, but I've definitely seen some nonprofits take the approach of posting memes to get tons of like and tons of engagement, and then nobody actually does anything with it. Is that the right approach to actually making social media create these practical impacts, or is there a different approach to getting those actual volunteers and actual donations out of your social media?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. Um, there is, of course, there is a um, part how to get social media, how to get volunteers through social media practically. But I want to first point out the memes part that you've mentioned. Um, uh, if your social medias, or if your nonprofit is actually has the value of being jolly, but maybe you can post memes. But if the value will go back to branding, since it's the foundation. If your nonprofit is professional, of course you can post something that's just viral to your social medias, since it's not part of who you are, it's not part of your values. So you need to consider the values as well, or the branding, before you post. So that's why I also mentioned branding first as a foundation. And going back to the next question, there's actually two ways. There's thing called inbound and outbound. So in inbound, am I still here? Okay. So in inbound, you will attract people to comment on your post. But on outbound engagement, you will actually reach out to the people who liked or who commented on your social media, or anyone who got attracted in um in the posts or what they saw in your social media. So there's inbound people who go in and then got interested, and then outbound you reach them out. So that's two ways. Actually, in the community that I co-founded, everyone that we most of the core team that we had are just from social media. So they saw some posts, and then they got interested, and then we interviewed them if they are aligned with us. So
So if
there's
you
a
do a
really
good
power in
enough
social media.
post, so if you do a good enough post on social media, then people reach out to you. You don't have to reach out to them directly.
There's a chance that they will reach out to you. Like for example, what happened to us here. I was just actually posting posting out values, giving out values. And then I attracted Dan. I attracted the right people to connect with me through what I post. So that's one example.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So, what does are there any social media platforms that you recommend more than others right now, or is it very much dependent on your audience and what you're trying to do? Like, obviously, nobody's going on MySpace, so we can leave them out of it. But are there any social media platforms that you see really making a difference for nonprofits right now, or is it mostly just depends on your audience and what your social media strategy is?
Yeah, it actually depends on the audience that you have, but let's just if you don't know where to start, and I mean you will be starting out from scratch, you can use the two most used social media platforms, the Facebook and Instagram. So in Facebook, I think there are 1 billion users here already, and on Instagram, I'm just not sure with the numbers, but you can start with Facebook and Instagram, the most common used, and where people are a lot, and possibly the donors are here as well, since you know nobody has. I don't think anyone has no Facebook nowadays. Everyone has Facebook.
It is. It is. I was surprised when I was looking it up that it's still the world's most used social media site. Um, so, any additional, if there's one additional tip that you wanted to make sure that nonprofits got before we roll into how you can help, what would you say is the most important thing you haven't mentioned so far that will help nonprofits improve their social media presence?
Okay. Two things come into mind. So number one, focus on your magic. So, and I know you have a great story to tell to the world, and one of your reasons why you need to use social media is we need to make good loud, making doing good louder. And number two, using social media creates credibility and attracts your dream people and awareness. So that will be it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Tell us a little bit about how nonprofit leaders can work directly with you if they want to level up their social media presence.
Yes. Okay. Hello, everybody. So I just want to give the heart of 414 Studio. So it is actually has a tagline to do good, be seen, and create impact. And one of our missions is actually help out nonprofits and social enterprises be seen and attract donors and clients and create impact into the digital world through brand and social media strategy with no paid ads. So also nonprofits is on really my heart. So if you would consider working with a person who would understand you in values nonprofits, um, you're gonna be sure that I would be that. And you can actually just reach out to me if you have questions, even if you don't want to work with me yet. We can get contact in our Instagram and through Facebook as well.
Thank you very much for coming on today, Shyla. For those who are listening in, we have fantastic experts. We do this every week, every Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern time. Fantastic experts coming up on market research, Google ad grants, and creating a fantastic volunteer program. So be sure to tune in next week. Thank you so much, Shyla, for coming on the Friday Expert live stream.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.